out. Oh, hi, Donna.
Hey, Jackie.
Oh, OCD10, who's that?
Oh, I don't know. So we're waiting for John. No, here he comes.
Hello.
Hi, John. I'm gonna make you co-host.
Thanks. Hey, everybody.
And
Hey, John.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
and John, do you want to, it's 7:01. Do you want to begin in a minute, or do you want to
Yeah,
wait?
we can wait for 1 minute. Our agenda is so short, I won't be surprised that if we have a smaller crowd than usual.
Okay. So we're already recording. I should let everyone know we're already live on YouTube, but we're not yet recording to Zoom. But I will start that when you call the meeting to order, or just before you call the meeting to order.
And Laura, just so you know, I have a work conflict suddenly for tomorrow night, so I have to. I've asked to be excused for governing board tomorrow.
Okay, so I'll be rather loopy because I'm suddenly on antibiotics, but it's the same agenda items as tonight. I don't know what then we do about.
I will handle it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. You can have me absent or Laura Loopy, take your pick.
Okay.
That's feels good. Normal.
Okay, let's start this show.
Okay, so let me do this.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the UNNC Planning and Zoning Committee meeting for 2nd, 2022. Going to share my screen with the agenda. Okay, can everyone see this? Yes?
Yes, I can see it.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, here's the agenda for this evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. First things first, first item is a determination to hold meetings virtually, leftovers from COVID. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, it's called BONC, the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, with guidance from the City of Los Angeles City Attorney, have established that BONC has the authority to adopt AB 361 findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54953 E1B-C on behalf of the city's neighborhood councils to determine that due to the COVID-19 state of emergency, which is obviously continuing in somewhere, meeting in person would present imminent risks to the health and safety of attendees. This meeting is being conducted virtually pursuant to the directive. Welcome. This is the Neighborhood Council, UNC Neighborhood UNC Planning and Zoning Committee. Sorry, I've had a really busy day and I just ran into my desk. Review. We have a couple items on the agenda, potential discussion and action. We'll go around the horn, and anyone who wants to introduce themselves may. If you are a stakeholder, and our stakeholder rules are that if you are a stakeholder based on the UNNC rules, you can vote on this committee. So go around the horn if you plan on voting tonight. If you could please indicate so, and also indicate that you are a stakeholder in the UNNC. It's as simple as that. So I'm John Arnold. I am a stakeholder. I am on the governing board of the UNNC. I live in Jefferson Park. Laura?
Hi, I'm back. Well, I wasn't really gone. I was monitoring. I'm Laura Myers. I'm the co-chair of UNNC's Planning and Zoning Committee, and I am a board member, and I live in Angeles Vista.
Great. Anyone else want to step up? Donna?
I'll go. Hi, I'm Jackie Nunn. I'm a stakeholder. I live in Kenny Heights. I've been in the area for 50 years.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donna Jones. I'm from West Adams Avenues. I am a stakeholder and thank you.
Great. Teresa?
Thank you, John. My name is Teresa Masonette. I represent the West Adams Avenues on the board of the UNNC, and I too am a stakeholder.
And Carlos? If you
Hi,
wish.
everyone. Carlos Carrick. I'm in the West Adams area. I'm on the governing board of the UNNC and also a stakeholder as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item number 3. Anyone with a public comment that has nothing to do with items 4 or 5 on the agenda? Teresa?
Thanks, John. I'd just like to remind everybody that tomorrow, prior to our 7 p.m. governing board meeting, at 6:30, we have a couple of guests. Commissioner Mike Davis will be introducing Urban Forestry Division to review the recently completed UNNC tree canopy summary, and also giving us a demonstration of the Tree Keeper report, Tree Keeper program, which details all of the trees in the public right of way and on the parks for the city of Los Angeles. So if you have an opportunity, please come at 6:30 and listen into this great presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.
Can you put in chat the login information?
I can do that.
Thank you.
Anyone
Yeah.
else for a public comment?
Donna, did you want to talk about the issue on Manhattan Place?
Yes, I would like to. Thank you.
Please do.
I haven't reached the end of my rope, but I am determined. 1860, the Debbie Allen Dance Academy is over the top with the valet parking in the middle of the street. And I have called DOT. I have reached out to our neighborhood prosecutor. I have continued to work with the senior lead officer, who hasn't gotten back to me recently, but I will be going to the CPAB meeting for Limbic Division. It's really terrible. I'm sorry. My son's dog is acting crazy. Stop. Anyway, so it's been, they valet park north in a row, they valet park south in a row, and there is only a flow of traffic in the middle of the street.
Okay.
And
sorry.
it's outrageous. Let's just put it that way.
Thanks, Donna. So we thank you for bringing this up. We will be agendized. We can't discuss it this evening, but we will be agendizing it at a future soon Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. So we will be doing that. So I think that's about all I can say for Brown Act about the issue. And we do know.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
CD10 has their hand up. CD10, do you have something to say? Hi.
Hi. I just want to say, hey, I'm Hakeem, and introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. I'm the planning deputy for CD10. I just want to come and be a part of the meeting today and make my presence known, just in case you guys have any concerns you want to convey back to the district.
Great, thank you, Hakeem.
Thank you and welcome.
Anyone else?
Yes, I would say thank you, Hakeem. Glad to see you.
Chris Carlson is now in the room. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself and declare whether you're a stakeholder or not? You're muted.
My name is Chris Carlson. I am a stakeholder and I am the area rep for Area 4 for UNNC.
Excellent, thank you. Any other public comments before I close that item? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to item number 4, which I'm going to hand over to Laura. She has been spearheading this item regarding the CPIOs citywide, and specifically the ones that are in our district. So Laura, if you can take this away, that'd be great.
I can. May I share the screen? In other
Yes.
words, you want to unshare?
Yep, hold on. Let me just get my unsharing button is hidden right at the moment. Okay.
Okay. So we have two different proposed letters tonight. Now I just have to find this one. Sorry. And this first one is essentially, this is a draft letter. We're going to also present, however we may edit it tonight, then we would present it again tomorrow night. But it's a letter regarding essentially how the city planning department is not very well administering not just our CPIOs, which CPIO stands for Community Plan Implementation Ordinance, but also they are overlays. But in addition to that, really almost any of the special districts, specific plans, the redevelopment plans, what we have in Arlington Heights and Angeles Vista are a version of these CPOs called Character Residential Overlay Districts. And what happens is that on ZMIS, which is John, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's zoning, information, mapping, and system. I don't know what the A stands for, I keep forgetting.
Administrative.
But people who are doing their due diligence, they're buying property, maybe they're a developer, maybe they've owned a property for a long time, but they have a new big idea, or maybe they're on the staff of building and safety and they're trying to figure out if they can approve a permit or do a code enforcement based on a complaint. They go to ZMIS and they look up the property address and they're checking under planning what the zone is. And also there's a question, historic preservation, yes or no. And for all of these, the CPIOs, the character residential overlays, the community redevelopment, remaining community redevelopment areas, the North University Park specific plan, which is not within UNNC, but it's just to the east, the answer is no, even though most often the answer is yes in real life. So they've got stuff listed in ZMIS in other places that would reveal that there are some historic preservation regulations, maybe not quite the same as for an HPOZ or a landmark, but you have to know that to know it. So we've been for this to be fixed almost since the Arlington Heights character residential overlay zone was adopted in early 2017 because there were immediate problems. There were demolitions that shouldn't have happened. There were demolitions done before projects were approved. There's still a vacant lot, for example, on 7th Avenue, just south of Washington. Nothing's happened, a little bit of gardening and a lot of trash. And there's never been a project at that location. They demolished a single family home by way of example. So we've been talking about it for years, but the focus of this letter is a little more narrow. And that, as you can see, would be to ask for ZMIS to be altered. So we've worked, this letter in summary says, we've worked collaboratively in partnership with the planning department to help create character residential overlay zone districts. They were designed to be HPOZ light, and that was their phrase, HPOZ light districts with historic preservation regulations, but without boards, like an HPOZ has a board, and without an actual preservation plan. They were going to utilize the Secretary of Interior standards instead. And community planning staff and the Office of Historic Resources staff have continuously assured members of the public and elected officials that these are historic areas. They're being considered for eligibility for Mills Act. They described still in public meetings as HPOZ light, but it can't figure that out on ZMIS. So demolitions continue, window changeouts and stuccoing over original wood siding continue. We have recently had several instances of building permits issued over the internet without clearance sheets, meaning when you go to get a permit in many areas, historical, specific plan areas and others, there's something issued called a clearance sheets where various departments have to sign off. But if you get your permit over the counter, it used to be called over the counter, now it's just an internet permit, there are no clearance sheets and they just get issued their permits, and they're not supposed to happen in specialized zones. And essentially, this has been happening over and over again. And one of the principal reasons is that these things are happening is because they have failed to change ZMIS. So that's at the bottom of the first page, or then to the second page. And the same trouble exists not just for character residential overlays, but all throughout Washington Boulevard, Jefferson Boulevard, west of the HQ, and Pico Boulevard as well. And we think, well, I hope we think, the draft letter says, we believe the easiest and best solution would be simply to change the no in ZMIS to yes for all CPIOs in the South LA Community Plan, as well as West Adams, Baldwin Hills, Lamert Community Plan. I'm making an edit as we speak. And then right now, when you click on yes, if it's red highlighted, you click 3 columns, add a 4th column to incorporate all of these others and have my suggestion is just say contact and just list what it is so they can make a contact and not say preservation no or historic preservation no. It's a real problem. The 1908 home at 1829 South Gramercy Place a couple weeks ago was issued an internet permit for the change out of all windows. And it almost came to an immediate stop because our planner, Rafael Fontes, immediately wrote an email like at 5 in the morning on Monday morning to say, no, it's a contributor. But even then, the building and safety code enforcement inspector said, but it doesn't say so on ZMIS. I don't know how to rescind the permit without ZMIS saying I can. So that's essentially the problem. We've also, you see the last paragraph, in addition, Survey LA at this point is more obviously incomplete and incorrect than it was in 2017. When both the Planning Commission and the City Council at that time found it to be inadequate. And that is why the language of the adopted ordinance has an edict, use Survey LA or other historic survey. So we've been asking the Planning Department in the last several communications to either begin using the several additional existing historic resource surveys that they have to determine the historic eligibility, or simply declare, as NANDC is asking, that's the neighborhood council to our east, that any structure 60 years old or older is an eligible historic resource requiring further review. So this whole letter is in our, in the agenda packet, but we can edit it if you'd like. Here, I'm showing it to you in Word in the agenda packet as a PDF. Okay, John, back to you. How do you want to handle it?
Well, I don't think there's is there any discussion point about it? Any controversy, anything that anyone sees as an oversight or needs to be added or subtracted? I mean, it seems like it's a very reasonable, appropriate thing to ask and to state from a neighborhood council. It's like, do what you say what you do, we're paying attention, and we want this change made for things that are important to us. So to me, this is appropriate that we vote on it, but it seems to me it's a logical, reasonable thing to ask. I don't have any suggestions or changes? Anybody else?
Yeah, I held my anger back a little bit here, but
Well,
well, I just really feel that promises made should be promises kept, but I didn't write that.
Yeah.
But it's really beginning to feel like the people who made the promises are just not the ones in charge of implementation.
Jackie?
I thought historical house had to be 100 years or older. It's 60
sorry?
years here. It's 60 years here. I thought it was 100 years. Am I wrong? I guess I am. No?
It's for historic, it's generally 50 years.
Oh,
right.
I'm not sure what the CPIO cutoff is.
Oh, they don't have one.
I don't
The
think so,
60-year, the 60-year request so I'll back up a little bit. The North Area Empowerment Congress, however it becomes, Development Council, Neighborhood Council, UNNC, worked on a task force with the planning department and with Council District 8 for the last couple of years. And it was regarding some of these same issues. And in the end, they concluded that even using Survey LA is just not useful anymore because it was done 2010, 11, it missed entire blocks, it missed entire subsections of South LA. It had incorrect, just there's so many problems with it. So they asked specifically that kind of dump the idea of using existing surveys as the only basis and just say anything 60 years or older needs to be reviewed. So, that was a similar approach of the Community Redevelopment Agency in many of the redevelopment plans. If it's an older building, Mr. Developer, Mrs. Developer, just do a historic review. So that's not on the department, that's on the person asking to demolish or alter. So I think a mix of all of that is the best. And for our UNNC side of things, we have been advocating for 4 years that the planning department simply use its own survey that it did with Richard Starzak, it was the Myra Frank firm. It's changed its name and become international, but it's a major historic consulting firm. And they surveyed South Los Angeles, more than 7,000 properties, most of which are unchanged from the time of the survey. And the planning department owns the survey, provided it to me on behalf of UNNC some years ago. I didn't give it to them, they gave it to me. And subsequently, we've all looked at it. It's a perfectly good baseline, and it's bigger than Survey LA in our area. I can't vouch for it throughout South LA. So they're not using it. And apparently they're not using the CRA surveys anymore either.
So was that done before or after 2017?
I'm sorry?
Was that done before or after 2017? Do you know? That's international.
That was done in, the one I'm referring to was done in 1996. It's a database of 7,400 properties.
Wow.
The Community Redevelopment Agency, multiple surveys were done over time. And, but what they did I don't know the date of the one on Crenshaw, what they did on the Mid-City recovery, because it was a riot recovery, it was going very fast. Within that redevelopment plan, it's very specific that they use that 60-year cutoff. Anything that's older than a certain date has to be reviewed. So I think sort of a merger of all those ideas. There's nothing really wrong with Survey LA except its gaps. So for example, in Arlington Heights, 4th Avenue between Washington Boulevard all the way up to Pico doesn't exist in Survey LA.
How could that be?
This was a massive undertaking. South LA has 38,000 parcels. West Adams, Baldwin Hills, Leimert probably has almost the same number. It was a massive undertaking, and they missed things. They missed Van Ness between Washington and Venice. They missed 4th Avenue between Washington and Pico. And these are just things we've noticed. You know, it's hard to know what we don't know.
Well, can they go back and correct those or what?
No, this was,
It was
Well, I don't know.
privately, it was privately funded and
Oh,
the Getty funded it. It was hugely expensive, and they're moving on. They're now doing the context statements appropriately. They're doing more narrow focused to capture more of our city's cultural heritage.
the next point is twofold. Do you think they're actually going to make these changes? I mean, add this column with a yes, and if so, how long is it going to take them to do this?
I think that's a reasonable good question. I think the more we say and bring it to someone's attention, and the next time there's a problem, like there was in Van Ness a couple of years ago, we can say, we've been telling you this for years, why don't you fix it? So
Right.
will this letter itself affect change? Maybe, maybe not. But I think it's our job just to keep reminding them of issues. But I agree. I agree that who knows? We don't know. But
Well, I will say from some of my conversations with some top level people at the planning department, did John just drop out of this meeting?
no, I'm here.
Okay, you just dropped the video. Anyway, there are people in the planning department asking the same thing, asking for the same
Right.
thing.
So this,
So there's a conflict in the planning department between the policymakers and the case processing side. And and that's where we're having a trouble with resolving these issues. But as you move higher up the pyramid, there already have been discussions about exactly this.
great. So
So
that says to me, yes.
do they acknowledge receipt of your letter and indicate when they might begin to make some of these changes? Do you get a response back or feedback from
We
them?
haven't this letter yet.
Pardon me?
We haven't sent this letter yet.
I mean, but previously sent letters. This is not your first one.
We're not, John, you take it.
I mean, did they respond back?
I think there is. They aren't ones to just say thank you when you get something, but every now and then an issue will come up that we've written a letter about, and the letter does surface. And whether it's at CPC or and so they are. Do they go into the equivalent of a city circular file? Maybe, but I think we can keep trying. But yeah, I think reasonable question, but I think that they do affect change, and every now and then we see that. And if not individually, if there's a pile on, it does create a body of evidence for them to rely on it when they make their decisions.
Right. And also, I mean, obviously, I don't know how much money this would cost, but I don't think at this moment, the people who work at ZEMAS, that's their job. They update ZEMAS all the time. So how hard would this be? I don't know. I mean, there's already, it's because I'm not a database, I'm not a techie, but it's just somehow databases they already have.
You know what? When TOC came up, they put a little line in there that said TOC yes or no, and you click it and they went somewhere else. I'm sure that cost them millions to put in. This would be a little bit easier. And when Survey LA was done, that historic review got linked into Survey LA. So it's doable.
Right.
And I think it's a reasonable ask if they have a whole zone.
Right. And noting, I'm not suggesting here that they actually evaluate the individual properties when they put them in that fourth column. So in the other three columns, each property actually has real information. Is it in the National Register? Is it in the California Register? HPOZ? Is it a landmark? Mills Act? Not suggesting that at all. Just create a fourth column and it says, if it's Angeles Vista CPI, as Angeles Vista residential character residential CPIO, contact Rafael Fontes or whoever the person, it'd be that simple.
That's that simple.
That simple. So it's doable. I don't think this is $100 million project. And it would engage people who work to keep Zemus updated anyway.
Yep.
So
Okay, any other questions, comments?
may I stop the share, or unless
Yes,
somebody
please.
wants to do some editing?
Yes, please. So any other comments, questions, discussion points? Recommendation, motion, moves? Can I make the motion or I can't?
You can make a motion.
I move that we recommend to the governing board, the UNNC governing board, to approve this letter and send it on to the bodies mentioned or noted at the top of the letter.
I second.
Thank you, Teresa. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so everyone here has, except for Hakeem, has declared their stakeholdership. And so we can all vote. And so we can either show, we want to show a raise of hands on your screen or on your virtual. And we can take counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Donna? Okay, Donna's taking care of her dog. So, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favor.
You got my hand?
Yes, I did. 6 in favor. No, anyone opposed? Please lower your hands, everybody. Okay, that passes. So we'll bring it to the governing board tomorrow where it is already agendized for potential action. Okay, let's go to the next item, which is about Gramercy Apartments from Hollywood Community Housing and the way the curb is striped in front of their building and what we are expecting to happen. Way back when.
Okay, so, and this one is in collaboration with the Hollywood Community Housing, is it a foundation, John, organization? But
Hollywood
anyway,
Community Housing, it's a nonprofit corporation.
right. Who is the developer and co-owner of the Gramercy Apartments, which is the senior affordable housing mixed-use building on Washington Boulevard between Gramercy and Wilson Place. So back when UNNC worked with them on the project and the community, Western Heights, Angeles Vista, everybody was involved. It was a very collaborative process. One of the things that we all agreed was it would be really great to have angled parking on Washington Boulevard to create more parking. Instead, what happened during the course of construction is that one day DOT came out and painted the curbs all red. So there's basically one parking space between Gramercy and Wilton Place. So, you know, and everything else is bright red. So the Sarah Letts, who's the executive director of the organization, and I and John and others have been working with CD10, only it's been so many iterations of CD10 for the last, I don't know, almost 2 years, to try and undo the red. So the effort has started again. Sarah's been in conversation with Kamani and maybe Hakeem, he can tell us. I don't really know all the people she's been in conversation with, but this is a request from UNNC that echoes her request. And essentially the request is to move the Metro, which includes Dash, those 2 bus stops, to where it was when I moved into the community, the neighborhood, which was still on Washington, but east of Gramercy, in front of the liquor store and the little set of shops. It was not in front of this parcel, which at the time was an official police garage towing company. And then also in the 80s, a big effort to control the noxious uses of that towing company. And at that time, so it's been on and off, at that time the curb was painted red to stop the tow trucks from not just parking there, but dumping towed cars there. So there ended up being no parking anyway. So we're trying to undo that, make it basically white, except for where you really have to have red curbs, like by the crosswalk and on the corners. So there'd be more parking for the community, for, you know, additional parking for the neighbors, relieving parking congestion on the side streets, to provide convenient evening parking for community members who may attend meetings at the building's community room, which has space for 123 people, and for customers of the future commercial space. I mean, the space is there, but we don't have there's not a commercial tenant yet. So our request is to move the bus stop and get rid of the red, in summary. And the letter is longer than that. So did you need me to read the letter? Or are we good?
Do we know, why did they paint it red? What was their justification?
Well, this person who's at the top, I don't know if I can pronounce, I don't even know if it's a male or female. So Bhuvan Bajaj wrote Sarah to say that he looked at Google Street Map, Street View, and he saw it had been painted red for some years, which is true. It had been painted red for some years, but again, not all the years. And essentially, we acknowledge that the past matters, but there's been multiple different pasts, if I'm saying that right, on this stretch of Washington, but we should all focus on the future. This is Sarah's sentence. And the successful operations of this important new facility for the community. So we're trying to make this building work for everybody. So again, I don't know if it's Mr. or Ms. Was relying on, he said, hey, it's okay because that's how it used to be before you started construction. So
where would you move that bus stop to?
In front of approximately 2325 West Washington. So sort of, if you can visualize it, it's just the other side of Gramercy on Washington, not on Gramercy, but it couldn't be by the driveway of the liquor store has a driveway, so it could not be there. It'd have to be back just a little more. So the little bit more would be approximately 2325 West Washington.
So on the side where the liquor store is, as opposed
Correct.
to? Oh, okay, all right.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there,
Correct.
so is there any community benefit whatsoever to have this curb painted red? Or is it just leftovers that no one wants to?
Well, as long as the bus is there, it needs to be a lot of it painted red, not as much as they have painted red, but a lot. But it appears that the justification was looking at that it was red previously, even when the bus stop wasn't there. The bus stop used to be where we're asking for it to go back to. It used to be at approximately 2325 West Washington. I mean, and I have to tell you, and there was also a public phone there, and middle of the night marauders, I won't tell you their names, would go out every night and cut down the phone, and AT&T would put it back because people were loitering and in front of the liquor store. But that problem has so gone away. I mean, that liquor store operates completely differently now. So anyway, that's where it used to be.
So it seems to me, and Teresa has to bring up a street view, which I'm going to do. It seems to me.
I'll stop the share.
It seems to me that having an extra wide street that has fewer parking stalls that businesses might use is not a community benefit. I see no aesthetic, practical, logistical reason to have this not parking zone. So I don't see any community benefit to this red zone. Only
Correct.
laziness at a bureaucratic level to change anything.
And I was going to say, and in addition, at this point, the prospective tenant who's seriously considering taking over the space is not a restaurant. It's that organization that 2 weeks ago, which teaches kids how to create art out of leftover materials and how to use tools. And it's going to be very interesting, cool, mostly afternoon and weekends program. It's very exciting, but at this point there would be no place for even the moms to park and walk their kids in because there's no parking. So,
Oh my gosh, the
So you're saying if they take that red away, then that would give them additional parking for that school?
well, it's not for a school, and then we would need to have a further discussion as to, could there be like churches have a white passenger load unload zone for half of it? I mean, that's a future discussion, but the first thing is that the red's got to go away. Then there may be a second thing about that. And unlike Donna and my favorite, we don't like what's happening on Manhattan Place, they're going to have a plan, and they may rent the parking lot at the nearby church for, to actually do a circular drop off kind of plan. So thank you, John.
So there's a crosswalk. This is Gramercy. Sorry, this is the best Google view that.
Yeah.
So Gramercy continues over here. So it's
Right.
all red. That's cars moving. So these are the two stalls two parking spots that
Right.
remain in more red. And
Right.
the bus stop is down here.
It's back by the crosswalk.
Down here.
Well, just to the west of the crosswalk. So see the person, it looks like a person.
Yeah.
That's the bus stop.
Okay.
So you've got red from the corner to the crosswalk, then you've got red to the bus stop, and then you got red well beyond the bus stop, and then a whole lot of red all the way to the next corner. So it's an awful lot of red.
Yeah, it seems so unnecessary. And also, who needs a big wide street? And yeah.
And obviously there needs to be red near that crosswalk, clearly, and there needs to be red near the corners. But the stretch is 354 feet total. And John, you could probably know how many feet a parking space would.
27.
27?
Chris has her hand up.
I just wanted if Laura could remind us when Gramercy Park was being built. Initially, that space was hopefully going to be a restaurant, but as part of that, there were supposed to be a certain number of underground parking spaces that were available to the retail commercial use. But
there are. It's
can you
6
tell me
or
the number?
7.
I mean, I want the red gone.
It was 6 or 7.
Okay, so there is some option for people to be able to park, but we still need drop off and easy pickup, in front of that.
Right, and also that parking's not for the community room.
Right.
So again, our original idea, but that seems a little greedy at the moment. It's like baby steps here. Our original proposal was angled parking from a little after the crosswalk all the way to Cimarron. So for 2 blocks, right? Because Amazing Grace Conservatory is on the corner of Wilton Place and Washington. So it's very exciting to have all these cultural institutions. We just need to figure out how people can park.
Well, that parallel park is not going to work. That's like taking a lane away.
Okay, Jackie, that's not our current proposal. I'm just saying the original proposal. Everything's been restriped since then. I mean, this has gone on for some years.
Teresa?
Sorry, John, can you bring that back up, please? Sorry. I'd like to know where, if we move if the bus stop is moved, can you show me where that would be, the recommendation?
Yeah, go back east, John, if you can.
This is east. This is the east. This is before it was built. This is from 2009. It's a clear.
So it would be further. I thought you guys mentioned that it's going to be near the liquor store.
Yeah, well, easterly of the liquor store. It
Oh.
cannot be right in front of the liquor store either, because there's now a driveway, if you see the driveway. So the
Right.
bus would have to be back east of that. So maybe, so this building, this bluish building.
Okay. And the next bus stop after this, how far is that? Does anybody know?
Yeah, it's not very far. It's on the
Arlington.
corner, Van Ness. It's on Van Ness.
It's Arlington, where the next liquor store is.
No, the next bus stop is at Van Ness and Washington. It's 2.5, 3 blocks.
Okay. And I didn't see, there wasn't a tree there either, right? Sorry, John, if you just go back.
I don't see the other bus stop, but it's.
It's there. I see people sit. It's literally in front of the sports store. Maybe it's closer actually to Arlington.
So Teresa, where do you want me to go?
That's what Jackie said. So it's a little more than 3 blocks then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted, if you could just go back, John, to the proposed location. I just want to make sure there isn't a tree well.
Oh.
There. So.
What is that? That's a.
Yeah, that's in front. Yeah, be east. It'd be east of that tree.
Okay. So
I
somewhere.
understand your point. Where that yellow curb is.
Okay, somewhere around there. Okay, that's my question. Thank you very much.
Donna.
I wanted to mention when they actually put parking, once the red is moved or gone, it's important that it's not long-term parking, or the people from the streets will take it permanently and use it, so it won't be available to parents. So it should be short-term, so that parents who are actually using or the facilities, whoever's going there, will have the parking. It won't be taken up by the multi-units on the side streets.
Yeah, well,
I agree.
yeah, maybe it could be no overnight parking.
Or it should be short-term, because it'll be there 4 or 5 hours if you're not careful.
Okay.
I know what it'll be taken up, because there's no parking on any of those streets.
Okay. Christine?
Why wouldn't we ask for metered parking? So it's with set time limits, because that guarantees the kind of turnover that the kind of activities, commercial you're talking about would need. We can't have people there for, hours, half a day. It should be metered parking because it's a commercial use. And that way it creates that turnover that you need.
I don't know what the city's policy is, because I don't think there's any meters on this stretch of Washington, when they determine that meters are necessary and when they aren't necessary. Because I think meters also might push people to park on the side streets.
Right.
So I don't know how they determine when meters become necessary.
Yeah,
So,
I think it is currently posted for limited 1 or 2 hour parking. I think, in other words, I think we have posted time limits.
yeah.
So, do we want me to somehow add something about, as part of this project, please consider posting time limits for parking?
I think there's probably posted all over the place up and down watching either 1 or 2 hours. So I would say it wouldn't hurt to recommend that we want it to be posted for timed.
Okay.
If not metered. I think time is good enough.
Do you guys want me to edit as you watch, or just throw in the chat that we're going to edit it for tomorrow?
Yeah, let's
Just throw in the chat that you're gonna edit it tomorrow, but put post it, not meters.
Yeah,
Signs, not
I'm
meters.
typing it.
Okay.
It'll take too long to get those meters and it's too expensive.
Right. And it's also, I feel like when something's neighborhood serving, isn't that serving if you have to pay. But if it becomes a problem, they can always revisit that.
Okay. Any other comments? Don, is your hand back up? Oh, okay.
You didn't post yet.
Because I sent it. It's one of those, how it changes I sent it to Donna.
Oh, oops.
No, it was how it shifts sometimes. You don't ever know why.
Yeah, I do. I understand. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Hearing none. Motion?
Well, I think we should, Teresa, do you think we need to be specific that to place the bus stop where they're, not within X feet of a tree?
No, because I don't think they will look to see where the tree, I mean, there wasn't an empty tree well. And the closest tree is closer to the entrance of that liquor store. So
Right.
I'm sure they're not going to
Yeah.
come in that close to the tree anyway.
Yeah,
So
I would agree. with
Okay. Okay.
Okay, motion, anyone? Okay, I move to approve the letter as to request the removal of the red curb with all the nuances and descriptions included, including editing the letter to request that any added parking stalls in Washington be normally timed to 1 or 2 hours.
I second.
Thanks, Chris.
Who seconded?
That was Chris.
Okay.
Okay, let's raise our hand, all stakeholders.
Well, what happened?
Want to vote? Any vote four? This is a 4 vote. Anyone who wants to vote? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 yeses. Any opposed? Seeing none. Any abstentions? Okay, we got 6 to 0. Great.
Okay.
Okay. Next agenda item is any comment on other cases that we've already heard. I don't have the agenda open. I just can't remember what exactly it says, but it's any past cases. I have a couple. Teresa.
you're going to talk about this week?
Yes, I could talk about that. It's tomorrow. I can't talk about it.
Okay.
But I won't be there. So 1848 Gramercy
Oh,
Law.
so I'm going to walk away.
Sure. We're not talking about it with any content. Laura needs to recuse. 1848 Gramercy was agendized for the CPC last Thursday. A bunch of us showed up diligently, as we've been doing for a year and a half now, to CPC. I was going to speak on behalf of UNNC. I had my little speech already. They promoted me for a hot 15 seconds and then continued the item until December. So it's still not resolved. And it will come up to CPC again, which we'll all arrive at the meeting, and it will be hopefully resolved and voted on then. So it is continued again. The saga continues. I don't know. They didn't say why they continued it. It happened in a split second. All of a sudden I was not there anymore. So that is going to come back, and we won't have anything to vote on again because we've already voted on it. Lastly, Laura, you can come back, Laura.
And John, if I could
Yes.
just comment, I believe they said it was at the request of the developer. So.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yes.
They did say that, and we don't know why the developer requested it. We've heard that some adjustments have been made, but we haven't been notified with what those adjustments are. So I'm not having much faith that they were significant or substantial, but we can see what happens and see if the developer contacts us or the planning department contacts us, what those changes are.
Okay.
Okay. Just in related, you might recall about a year and a half ago, we did a lot of work on the housing element to provide
John, you still have a hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah, can we ever proactively reach out to a developer, particularly in this kind of a continuance case, to invite them to come to planning and zoning before that date on the 8th? We're on record of reaching out to work with him, even though he has been fairly performing in terms of communicating to the community. But it just seems if that's doable, it's a good way to demonstrate that as a community, we've been open and trying to engage and have an ongoing conversation. But is that ever done?
My opinion is we've already voted. I don't think they're going to change anything significant.
Okay.
I might paint it. And I just think it'd be waste of our time and energy, because I think we'll, like we have for the past 2 years, we'll get zero response.
Fair enough.
And so I think we shouldn't waste our time. I don't, and if they're doing a significant change enough that they think that they might get a change of a vote, they should come and talk to us. But I think this has reached the highest levels of city government as planning and zoning issues go, including the city attorney and planning and zoning throughout the city, because I think this case will have ramifications in a lot of places. So I think it's moved beyond us, and I don't think we're going to get anything, honestly.
Okay, thanks.
So we've tried. Thanks. Housing element. We worked really hard. I think, and I know we all have our issues with the city of Los Angeles. The city worked very hard to get our housing element finished in time, which they did. We did get it in on time. It got rejected first by the state, but then it was approved by the state, but it was done in time. Cities that didn't get theirs in on time are now dealing with a thing called builder's remedy. Santa Monica, Redondo Beach nearby. Both Redondo Beach dragged their heels because they didn't want to do it. City of Santa Monica, I think, couldn't make up their mind, and too much democracy. And they're both now dealing with, there was a window of about 2 or 3 months where they had no housing element and they were required to have one. So developers literally could propose anything they wanted on any parcel of land in those cities, anything. R1 didn't matter. And that's exactly what happens. Santa Monica and Redondo Beach each got a slew of development proposals for 15-story towers, 12-story towers, 2,000 unit projects. Redondo got one and the city of Santa Monica got one. And per state law, those projects have to go through and they have to be approved. So hats off to the city of Los Angeles, Hakeem, that they got it done in time, and we aren't dealing with, it's called builder's remedy. Look it up, capital B, capital R, and they're suing the state, and good luck with that, to block it. But it's their own fault that they didn't get it.
Can I verify that we've moved on?
Yes, we have. And they didn't get it done on time. They were warned that they had to get it done on time, and they didn't. And now they're dealing with a big headache that is going to cause all sorts of bigger problems than we would ever see that we have seen ever. So let's be thankful we aren't dealing with that, because it's big. Look it up if you want to have some schadenfreude for the city of Redondo Beach. Jackie.
So was this for a CD10 or LA area? I mean, what area are we talking about?
This is the whole state. I think there are 124 cities that didn't get their housing elements done in time. City of Los Angeles did. And so any city that didn't was open their doors to this vulnerability to have anything proposed. So this is a citywide thing. We're all clear. City of Los Angeles is clear, but follow what's happening in Santa Monica and Redondo Beach and see how that happens.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's good. I mean, someone at the city said, we got to take this seriously, or else we're going to be in for decades worth of whatever. So anyway, that's just some good and brighter news that we don't have a 15-story tower proposed for Gramercy Place. Anyway, that's all my updates. A little wonky, but that's it. Anyone else have an update? Past cases? Laura?
No, I mean, I should, but
no, there's no shoulds in this room. We're all doing the best we can.
right.
Chris.
I mean, there's just darn it always updates, but I can't think of them at the moment.
Do we have any update on the retail residential piece that's coming to the western and the southeast corner there in front of
At 20th Street?
The big
No,
one.
on
Yeah,
Western
oh,
Avenue,
The
on
big one with the
on
mural.
west side of
CIM.
Western, just south of the 10.
CIM, big mural.
Yeah,
It wraps around the building they just finished or finishing.
do we know anything more about?
I don't know anything. I think it's probably I think it went to CPC. I I don't know if it got approved or not. Laura, do you know?
So are we talking about the 400, however many apartments?
Yes, just
I
south
don't,
of the town.
I don't know, I don't know how they've progressed.
Let's, I'll look it up, Chris, and report back next time. It's easily
Okay.
searchable.
All right, thanks much.
Okay, anything else?
Well, it does look like the abode buildings are
Okay.
unwrapping. Yeah, no, I mean, the scaffolding seems to have, I mean, the fencing came down on the south one.
They
today,
are leasing. I expect they'll have a grand opening in a month or two. And I
Mhm.
will let you know because that will probably be a public event, especially for stakeholders. So I will make sure that if I find out
Yeah,
when.
because that would be good, because, you know, Path opened in a not so public event. So we've never
Yeah.
actually been able to see the building on Montclair. So it'd be nice to let, you know, public see, you know, the work that we do and the work that they do, because their work is harder than our work. Ours isn't easy, but, you know, we just help massage projects, work collaboratively, and then move on to the next one. But then they spend years raising money and then having to build it. So it'd be nice to see the results.
And this is totally subjective, but I'm happy with them. I think they look great. They look great together. They add to the streetscape, better than parking lots and a motel that's not helping the community. So
Thank you.
thanks,
We
everybody.
fought them all the way on those buildings. So thank you, Derek Jaffa.
Yes, he did. Well, but it was, well, first it was before COVID, but we had those meetings, I mean, sort of on the side. And in that case, we were meeting in the conference room at the With Love Market and Cafe. But, it was nice to be able to just meet and collaboratively work out things to to create a consensus win-win-win situation.
Yeah, we lost the story behind our negotiations. They
Right.
wanted it taller.
Right. They made they ended up with almost, John, if I'm right, the same number of units, but there were
Yeah,
more
they're
studios.
They're smaller.
Yeah. Right. So I will say it didn't save the view of everyone. I mean, there are still some people in the avenues who lost their view, but fewer people lost their views.
Yes.
So where are we speaking? What property is this? Is this at the corner?
The new projects on Adams, right east of Crenshaw. Oh my God! In full disclosure, I'm on their board.
Right
So
there by
I know we're
Johnny?
just.
Yeah, but we're not voting on
I
anything.
know. I'm just saying full disclosure.
There's two buildings there, right there by Johnny's?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good
Good night.
night.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Hakeem.
Bye, Hakeem.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.